I can't believe I agreed to this, I muttered. Come on, Kallie. You could use a distraction after everything that happened last week. At the sound of my grandmother's voice chiming over my earpiece, I instinctively gritted my teeth. Before I could remind Aubela-Blanca I was in my current situation because she'd lost her job, she added, You were the one who suggested we check the TV station for clues, since it's been a few days and we haven't had any new FATGIRL activity. I was being sarcastic, I insisted. That's what teenagers do. Well, a fat girl saves the day. Get to work. Ugh, I was going to ground my teeth into gums. I'm not technically fat girl right now. If there was any bright side to anything, it was literally only that. I might have been sneaking around the WACC TV station down in Cuttingham City, but I was not wearing pink and navy spandex, nor was I bloated up to roughly the size of a sumo wrestler, for once. You're still on a fat girl mission, A.B. said. Should I call you Spy Girl when you're like this? If I'm supposed to work on those so-called essential skills you wanted me to learn, how about you stop talking to me? I finally asked, glancing around nervously. I was in a long, bland hallway, one that only boasted of color from its cheaply framed posters. Thankfully, it was empty, but I couldn't discount that there was a camera somewhere. People are going to hear me and think I'm some psycho talking to myself. But think of all the fame and attention you could bring with a modeling career for the mentally ill. That did it. I flicked the mute button on the earpiece I had hidden behind my ear. I carefully went over my plethora of memorized cover-up stories for why I was sneaking through the station, careful to keep a confused and lost look on my face. I'm an activist, investigating your hiring practices and seeing if you discriminate against Hispanics. You wouldn't stop a Hispanic girl like me from asking such important questions, would you? Or are you racist? I'm here to ask about an internship opportunity. I'm looking for Jennifer Stills to see if I can interview her for a school project. Inwardly, I shuddered. My white lies were growing darker every day, and for all its usefulness, I was beginning to hate using my half-Hispanic heritage as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Stick to the last 2 stories. They were more forgettable. I turned down another hall and tried a new door. The doorknob opened easily, and I bit back a triumphant cheer. Carefully, I peeked into the room and glanced through, making sure the room was empty before I stepped inside. Clear, I whispered. I'd muted A.B., but even if I wasn't listening to her, I figured she would want to know what I was doing. Spying was actually a little fun. For some reason, it made me think of The Art of War, the book my mother had kept on her nightstand. After she'd abandoned me and I was left to navigate the rest of my 10th grade year without her, I'd actually found Sun Tzu helpful in a way I'm sure he hadn't meant for teenagers. It certainly helped with my social battles, and now it made me feel better here, too. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Remembering that advice, and trying not to laugh, remembering how I'd used it over the summer to one-up Amory on her trip to Dauphin Island by organizing an impromptu swim party for the rest of our friends, I skirted around the room looking for clues. It was a cheap lounge area of sorts, and just as ugly as the rest of the station. I sifted through a pile of papers on a countertop, scanning them carefully, looking for anything that might be important. It would be helpful if I knew what was important, I said, restacking the papers. Nothing serious there, other than updated scheduling and programming changes. There was a request from Jennifer to the scheduling department to allow her to work as a debate moderator this week, but it was stamped with a large red "Denied" stamp.